Well, the largest customer of the lot in any economy is the grid itself. And if you don't have a grid, you don't have an economy. So keeping a grid stable is the most important thing any innovator can do in the energy industry. And I want to just give you a little example of a local problem in grids that's surprisingly common and very damaging. Brendan looked out of the window from his work. In his garden, just beyond, is a transformer, and it was in absolute flames, a roaring fire. What had happened was there'd been a short circuit which caused a spark in the transmission oil, which caused a huge fire. Incredibly dangerous, but also hugely disruptive.
In the oil?
Yeah, in the transmission oil that lubricated the devices, the moving parts within the transformer. If you have filing, friction, small metal, this is not the only way that this can happen, but this was this case. You get some metal causing a short circuit, which causes a spark, and that causes a fire. So we asked Dr. Khan, our head of research, who has vast knowledge of transmission systems and grids, and he said, this is a common problem in Pakistan. And he explained to us that the problem is that it's not really monitored, because what happens is you have to physically send a technician out, sample the oil. The sample could get contaminated on the way to the lab, spend 7 days, several $100s, and they do 20 tests on the oil around levels of oxidation, water content, density, metal content, presence of certain gases, to summarize. But the problem is that it never really gets tested at all. It's a mission. It's a really difficult logistical problem to send a technician to tens of thousands of these transformers that are dotted all over the country.
And the cost?
It's a huge cost. It's like tens, hundreds of millions of dollars. So Dr. Khan and his team came up with a brilliant sensor invention, and I believe that this is the most as important as any invention that we've got in our entire portfolio. And that was a sensor that in real time monitored the level of moisture and also watched out for those gases and those metal filings that I mentioned earlier. And it's based on the principle of permittivity.
Permittivity?
Yeah, so permittivity is physics's fingerprint. And what it's defined as is the capacity of a material to absorb charge and be polarized by it. And what's significant for the purposes of this invention is that oil has a really low permittivity of around about 2.1, whereas water has a very high permittivity of around about 80. So if the permittivity has gone up, there's a high probability that you've got water content into your transformer, which is really easy to happen. If you've got a bit of rusting, that it can get in easily and become contaminated with oxidation. So this sensor measures all of that. It does the tests, but it sends the data back, so you don't need to send your technician, and you can predict when it is going to fail.